I love Jack Stauber. His music, animations, everything. I've been so happy to see him become more and more popular as time has gone on. As someone who's been watching his channel for around 3 years now, I've gotten to see his channel explode in popularity, and it's been awesome to watch. Now, I could go on and continue to ramble, but let's talk about specifically why I love Jack Stauber. Now, this one is kind of obvious. Jack's music is the reason most people find him, whether it be on TikTok and hearing his most popular song Buttercup, or an animation featuring another popular song of his, Two Time, his music is found. And I think of Jack's music similarly to Tally Hall's music in the sense that there's just so much variety with it. But unlike Tally Hall, I can't list what exact genre Jack's music is. You could say indie, but I feel like that isn't necessarily true. Anyway, let's take a look at each of Jack's albums to show the development of his music over time. Jack's first album, Finite Form, was released on March 18th, 2013, and unfortunately it's his least popular one. However, despite that, it's probably one of my favorite Jack Stauber albums. When I first listened to it, some of the tracks like Smooth, Wind Drag, and Runaway really got to me. Anyway, even if you don't want to listen to the whole album, please just at least check out the first track, Smooth. I'll be honest, it's a bit different from Jack's modern stuff, but it's still very moving in my opinion. Viator is Jack's second album, released on September 18th, 2015, and this is also a bit more unpopular than most of his albums, but that of course doesn't mean it's bad. Viator is much more experimental and out there than Finite Form, especially tracks like Christ Potion or Naked Polly. Nonetheless, I still enjoy the album. My favorite track is Pressed Flowers, which is also the longest song on the album, being nearly 8 minutes. I definitely urge anyone watching this to listen to Viator if you haven't already. Like I said, it's kind of odd, but I still love it. Now we're on to the bigger Jack Stauber albums. Pop Food was released on March 25th, 2017, and hey, I happen to have it on vinyl and have it on a t-shirt too. Pretty cool. Anyway, Pop Food is probably Jack's most popular album just solely because it has some very notable tracks like Buttercup, which is Jack's most popular song, and Oklahoma, another very popular Stauber song. And while I personally don't think those are his best pieces of work, they're still very good. Pop Food was the first Jack Stauber album I listened to, and I love it dearly for that reason. It's just such a good album overall. With really good songs like My Plea and I Understand, it's really hard not to like Pop Food. However, my favorite song on the album has to be the bonus track, Look On. Jack's vocals are fantastic during it, and it's just a generally relaxing song. I think of Pop Food as the first album where Jack's modern style really began to form. Finally, there's Hilo. Released on April 14th, 2018, Hilo was the album that really started to accentuate Jack's unique style. Like Pop Food, Hilo has a few notable tracks like Dead Weight and Gettin' My Mom On, which, by the way, is one of the only songs from Jack's albums that has an official music video. However, Pop Food kind of outshines it in popularity. But anyway, Hilo has some really good tracks of its own on it. The ones I listed already are pretty good, but ones like Moonstone, which is a bonus track, and Small World are pretty good too. Honestly, I don't really have that many thoughts on Hilo. I just think it's a good album by Jack. Definitely would recommend it. Jack Stauber's Micropops are a collection of short songs, usually being around 30 seconds to a minute, which are also accompanied by a music video to go along with them. However, few Micropops have been extended due to the amount of requests for them to be made into full songs. They're also released as EPs generally. A few songs that have been extended are Keyman, Two Time, and There's Something Happening. However, Jack has technically released an album which features a lot of Micropops that are on his YouTube, but contains ones that hadn't been heard until the album's release, which was on June 29th, 2019. I really enjoy Jack's Micropops, but I do want a lot of them to be made into full songs. I'm very happy though that we've gotten a few extended versions of songs. The most recent release of an extended song was on February 7th of last year, so it's been a while, but I can understand why we haven't gotten a whole lot on Jack's channel in the last year. He's been really busy with working on things like Opal. Opal is a short film that Stauber made for Adult Swim, which aired on October 31st, 2020. And it's quite honestly a masterpiece. The claymation, the soundtrack, the story, there's just so much to go on about. I strongly recommend anyone watching this check it out, as it's on the Adult Swim YouTube channel for free. But let me give a synopsis of the plot. Opal follows the adventure of a young girl named, well, Opal. She then finds this seemingly haunted house across the street from her. There she meets a few characters, but that's about all I can say without spoiling it. Now, I'm gonna preface this next part by saying there are going to be spoilers here. If you want to avoid them, here's the timestamp on screen to skip this part. Alright? Here we go. The general consensus for the meaning of Opal is that the family shown in the introduction is not Opal's real family. In fact, her name isn't even Opal, it's Claire. Claire's real family is the one inside the house across the street shown in the introduction. Claire pretends to be Opal as an escape from her reality because of her grandfather who's slowly killing himself, her father who's a narcissist, and her mother who's a drug addict and alcoholic. I could go more in depth on the film, but there are already plenty of videos covering it, and I'm not sure how much insight I'd really be able to provide. Let me know down below if you'd like me to talk about it though.
What kind of milk were you?
Anyway, Opal isn't the only work that Jack has done for Adult Swim. Back in 2019, Jack released Shop, a pop opera, which aired on Adult Swim. And like Opal, I love Shop. Shop uses simple things like a grocery list as a metaphor for things like living life to the fullest and not to develop addiction. I don't want to say Shop is necessarily deep or anything, but I think it was a clever way to give some good general advice. The soundtrack in Shop is something I listen to pretty frequently. Songs like Paper Towels and Cheese are just a few of the really good songs featured in it. You've also maybe heard one of the songs in it called Coffee, since it blew up on TikTok a while ago. Like with Opal and everything thus far, I strongly recommend you guys check it out since, again, like Opal, it's on YouTube for free.
I've not been around.
And that's why I love Jack Stauber. I could go on and on about his stuff, but I'm sure it'd get tiring fast. If you can, also, please go support him on Patreon. You can get access to unreleased projects, plus have the chance of listening to extended versions of songs early for only $5 a month. However, I do have one issue with Jack Stauber, his community. Or, I guess more specifically, it's the people who try to gatekeep his music. And I used to somewhat be a part of that group. The thing is, I'm not sure how an artist is supposed to grow and prosper when people won't let others listen to their music, but that makes up a very small percentage of his audience. From what I've seen, Jack's community is a very nice and welcoming group. They have a Discord which is featured on the Jack Stauber subreddit, so feel free to join it and maybe meet some other fans. Anyway, thank you guys for watching the video. Again, I wanted to say thank you to everyone for the insane amount of support on my spy video. My channel has gotten around 3 times bigger in a month, and that's just hard to wrap my head around, but that's all for this video. Thank you all again for sticking with me, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!
Rolling in the nonsense, deploy my fantasy for the horrors of life. I do believe rolling in the nonsense, deploy my fantasy for the horrors.